The wind howled over the lonely hilltop as Rami sat alone inside the old observatory. Most people had forgotten this place even existed. Once, it had been full of scientists, researchers, and blinking machines. Now, it was only dust, silence, and an old satellite dish that barely worked. Rami wasn't a scientist. He was just a technician. He had taken this job because he liked quiet. No crowds, no noise, no busy streets, just stars, machines, and peace. That night, he was adjusting the old dish, trying to fix a signal error that had appeared earlier. The sky outside was clear, stars sparkled across the black canvas, and the moon hung low, full and glowing. Suddenly, the lights in the observatory flickered. The monitor screen turned white. Then it went black. For a few seconds, everything was silent again. Then came the light. A beam of rich teal-blue light shot down from the sky. It was beautiful and strange. Not bright, not burning, just soft, steady and glowing like the northern lights. Rami rushed outside. What he saw next made him freeze. A figure stood in the middle of the light. Tall, elegant, not human. She had smooth, silver-blue skin, long flowing hair that shimmered like water, and deep eyes that held 1,000 stars. She was not wearing any armor or strange suit, just a simple dress that moved like it was part of the wind itself. She looked directly at him. Her voice came soft but clear. "Do not be afraid, Earthmen. I will not harm you." Rami took a step back, blinking. His mouth was dry. Who are you?" The alien woman smiled gently. Her voice was smooth, musical. "I am Alari. I come from a far world. My kind once walked the stars freely, but now we are few." She paused, then tilted her head. "You are alone. That is good. I need only one." "One what?" Rami asked, still trying to understand. She took a slow step forward, but the light around her kept her shape soft, almost glowing. "One human. I have been watching your world. I understand you only a little, but I know your kind is full of stories, feelings, dreams. I came for those." Rami frowned. "You came for stories?" "For emotions," she replied. "For feeling. That is my desire. And in return, I will give you 2 wishes, 2 gifts, Earthman. Anything within my power." He stared at her, heart pounding. Was this a trick? A dream? A new kind of test? "I don't understand," he said slowly. "What do you mean by desire? What do you want me to do?" Alari smiled again. "Talk to me. Share your thoughts. Tell me your stories, your hopes, your fears. Let me feel what you feel. That is what I feed on. Not flesh or power, but pure emotion." Rami shook his head slightly. This was the strangest conversation of his life. But there was something in her voice, something kind. She didn't seem dangerous. He looked around at the empty observatory. "All right, let's say I believe you. What if I don't have anything interesting to share?" "Even silence has meaning, Earthman," she replied softly. "But I think you have more inside you than you know." He thought for a moment. Then, out of pure instinct, he asked, "If you can really grant 2 wishes, can you bring back the lost forests, the ones Earth burned years ago?" Alari's eyes sparkled. "That is your first wish?" He nodded slowly. "Yes." She lifted one hand. The light around her pulsed once, silently. Then she closed her eyes. Somewhere, far beyond what Rami could see, something changed. Earth's satellites, long silent, blinked to life. Hidden seeds, lost for decades, cracked open. Deserts began to shift, small sprouts poking through dry sand. But Rami didn't know all this yet. He just stood there, watching the alien woman lower her hand. "It is done," she whispered. "Tomorrow, the world will see green where there was none." Rami's heart skipped a beat. "You're serious?" She gave a small nod. "I do not lie. You have one wish left." The teal-blue light around her began to fade just a little. "Now," she said, her voice softer than before, "feed my desire. Tell me the story of your kind, the good, the bad, the real." And so, under the stars, in an old observatory no one cared about anymore, Rami began to speak. He told her about Earth, not just facts, but feelings, about his childhood, the cities, the wars, the laughter, about the beauty of music, the weight of loneliness, the joy of small things. Alari listened without blinking. She didn't interrupt. She just listened, and with each word, the stars in her eyes seemed to grow brighter. Hours passed like minutes, and for the first time in many years, Rami didn't feel alone. The sun rose quietly over the sleeping world. But something was different. Where dry lands and cracked earth had once spread for miles, green had returned. Trees with thick branches stood tall in the deserts. Grass pushed through concrete in ruined cities. Flowers bloomed on rooftops and hillsides where nothing had grown for years. People across the world stepped outside and gasped in wonder. News reports called it a miracle. Scientists were confused. World leaders held emergency meetings. Some said it was impossible. Others called it the work of nature, a mistake in the data. But no one could deny what they saw with their own eyes. The forests were back. In the old observatory, Rami stood at the window, staring at the trees now rising around the nearby hills. Birds had returned. The air smelled cleaner. The ground felt alive. His heart was full of wonder and confusion. "She really did it," he whispered. Behind him, Alari sat on a chair made of broken equipment. Her silver-blue skin glowed softly in the morning light. Her eyes were closed, but she was smiling. She looked peaceful, like someone who had finally tasted something sweet after a long time of hunger. "You're quiet," she said without opening her eyes. "I don't know what to say," Rami replied. "You actually changed the planet." "You made the wish," she answered gently. "I only gave it shape." Rami walked over and sat across from her. "This doesn't make sense. You said you wanted emotion, not power. Why give me that kind of gift?" Alari slowly opened her eyes. They shimmered like deep water. Emotion is not just stories. It's action, hope, belief. When you asked to heal the earth instead of asking for wealth or fame, I felt something powerful. That feeling, selfless desire, fed me more than any story ever could. Rami looked down. I've always wanted to fix what we broke, even if only a little." "You did more than a little," she said softly. "You changed the path of your people." There was silence for a while. Rami looked at the blinking lights of the old machines, most of them dead for years. He had always felt forgotten here, but now, this quiet place had become the center of something bigger. Then, a voice called out from a small radio on the wall. "Repeat! If anyone is receiving this, we need to confirm the source of the satellite pulse that reactivated Earth. Grid 7. Please respond." Rami froze. He had forgotten the old emergency radio still worked. "Should I answer?" he asked. Alari looked thoughtful. "It is your choice. But remember, your world is watching now. If you speak, others will. Come." Rami hesitated, then slowly picked up the radio. This is station E17. I'm receiving you." A short silence. "E17? We thought that place was shut down years ago. Who is this?" "Rami. I'm just a technician. I don't know what happened. I just saw green." The voice on the radio changed slightly. more serious now. "We've tracked a strange energy source to your location. Satellites in orbit were activated last night by something unknown. Stay where you are. A team is being sent." The radio went silent again. Rami looked at Alari. "They're coming." She nodded slowly. "I expected this." "Will they hurt you?" "Maybe," she said quietly. "Some may fear what they do not understand." Rami stood. "Then we should leave." But Alari shook her head. "No, I will not run. I did not come to hide." Suddenly, the air around them changed. The observatory lights flickered again. Alari stood up slowly and looked toward the sky. "They've arrived," she said. Above the clouds, far beyond what human eyes could normally see, 3 dark ships entered Earth's orbit. Sleek and silent, shaped like blades, they shimmered in the sun but gave off no signal. They did not belong to humans. Alari's voice dropped. "They are not from your world." Rami stared at her. "You said you came alone." "I came in secret," she replied. "But my kind are not the only ones in the stars. The Velnari do not feed on emotion. They destroy what they do not control." "Are they here for you?" "Yes," she said calmly. "And perhaps for Earth? Now." Rami's chest tightened. "What do we do?" "We wait," Alari said. "They will not act right away. They study before they strike." That night, Rami climbed to the roof of the observatory with a telescope and pointed it to the stars. There, he saw them. 3 small dots slowly moving across the sky, staying just out of reach. He went back inside and found Alari sitting quietly, eyes closed again. He could feel her breathing. She looked calm, but he knew she was thinking deeply. "Are you scared?" he asked. Alari opened her eyes. "I was once, long ago, before I learned the strength of your kind." Rami sat down across from her again. "I don't feel strong." "You don't need to feel it to be it," she replied. Outside, the stars watched silently as something ancient and dangerous floated above the earth. But in a small observatory forgotten by most, 2 minds, one human, one alien, began to plan. People across the world celebrated the return of the forests. News channels called it the Green Awakening. Some said it was nature healing itself. Others believed it was a message from the universe. But no one had answers. Only Rami and Alari knew the truth. They stayed inside the old observatory, keeping out of sight. Rami watched the stars every night, tracking the 3 dark shapes in orbit. The ships didn't move much, but they were always there. Silent, watching, waiting. "Why haven't they attacked yet?" Rami asked on the 3rd evening. Alari stood by the window, her long hair moving softly in the breeze. Her teal-blue skin glowed faintly in the moonlight. "The Velnari are patient," she said. "They study before they strike. They want to understand how much your world knows. And who helped you?" Rami rubbed his forehead. "You think they know it was you?" "They will soon," she replied. "They follow emotion trails. My energy leaves a mark they can sense." Rami walked back to the table and looked at the small radio. It had been quiet since the first message, but he knew it wouldn't stay that way. "I think we need help," he said. Alari looked at him. "From who?" Rami paused. Then he reached for a small, dusty notebook in his bag. He flipped through it and pulled out an old card. The name on it was simple: Mila, Data Specialist. "She works at the Global Space Agency," Rami explained. "We used to talk about stars, signals, strange readings. Maybe she can help us." Alari nodded once. "Call her. But be careful." Rami sent a secure message using the observatory's old uplink system. He wasn't sure if Mila would see it or respond. To his surprise, she did. That same night, a soft beep came from the console. A text appeared. "Rami, you're alive? I saw the energy burst. I'm coming." 4 hours later, Mila arrived in an old government van, her hair messy from the road. She stepped out, wide-eyed, carrying a bag full of tools. "You better have a good reason for dragging me out here," she said. Then she saw Alari and froze. Rami stepped between them. "She's not here to hurt us." Alari nodded calmly. "You are Mila. I've heard your name." Mila blinked. "You've got to be kidding. She's real." "She gave me one wish already," Rami said. "The forests. That was her." Mila stared at them both, then slowly walked into the observatory. She sat down without a word and opened her laptop. "All right," she said. "Let's start from the beginning." As the sun rose the next day, the three of them sat around the table. Mila had pulled data from satellites, energy scans, and hidden servers. "The ships are Velnari, all right?" she said. "I've seen them in secret files, deep files, things governments don't share." "What do they want?" Rami asked. "They move from world to world," Mila said. "Not to trade or learn. They hunt beings with power, especially those who can affect other species." She looked at Alari. "They've wiped out civilizations. Quietly, cleanly. No war, no warning. They erase what they think is dangerous." Alari remained still. "That is why I ran." Rami stood up, his voice tense. "We have to warn someone. The world, the leaders, everyone." "No," Alari said softly. "If you speak too soon, they will panic. Fear will spread, and fear feeds the Velnari's strength." Mila frowned. "Then what do we do?" Alari looked at both of them. Her voice was calm, but serious. "We prepare." Over the next few days, Rami and Mila worked together. Alari showed them how to detect Velnari energy signals, small pulses in the sky, like static electricity in space. Mila built a scanner using old equipment, and Rami fixed the satellite dish to track their orbit. Every night, the signals grew stronger. The ships were getting closer. "They're testing our systems," Mila said, "trying to see what we can see and what we can't," Rami added. On the 6th night, the radio buzzed again. "This is Command Unit 9. We have detected unknown activity near your location. Prepare for inspection." Mila's eyes widened. "They're coming. Not aliens. Humans." Alari looked down. "If they find me, they may not believe the truth." "Then, we hide you," Rami said quickly. "No," Alari replied. "They must see me, but not as a threat." The next morning, 2 black helicopters landed near the observatory. Soldiers stepped out, followed by 2 agents in suits. They scanned the area and entered the building. Rami stood at the door with Mila beside him. Alari waited quietly in the back. "Step aside," one of the agents said. "We are investigating an unauthorized signal." Rami stayed calm. "There's someone you need to meet." When Alari stepped forward, the room fell silent. The agent raised his device, scanning her. The screen flashed red. Unknown species. Hostile potential. High. "No," Rami said firmly. "She saved this planet." "She's the reason your satellites came online," Mila added. "She gave us back the forests." The agents didn't speak right away. They looked at Alari, who stood tall, her hands open. "I come in peace," she said. "But danger is coming. Not from me, from them." She pointed upward. Later that night, the agents made a quiet call to their command center. "Subject is not a threat," one said, "but she speaks of something worse. We need to listen." And high above Earth, the Velnari ships began to glow softly in the darkness. The hunt had begun. While the people of Earth celebrated green forests and fresh air, a quiet war was building in the sky. The Velnari ships had moved closer. They stayed above Earth like shadows in space, unseen by the public, but watched carefully by those who now knew the truth. In the old observatory, Rami, Mila, and Alari prepared. Government agents had returned to their command post, confused but no longer hostile. The satellite feeds had been unlocked. Old defense systems were being reviewed. But the leaders still didn't believe a true threat was coming. "They don't understand what the Velnari can do," Mila said, tapping quickly on her laptop. "They think it's just another strange visitor." "They will believe," Alari said softly. "But by then, it may be too late." Rami stood beside her, holding a printout of the ship patterns. "They haven't attacked yet. Maybe they're waiting for something." Alari looked at him, her teal-blue eyes calm but serious. "They are watching. They want to know how humans react to fear. They are learning your defenses. When they strike, it will be fast." Mila looked up from her screen. "Then we have to strike first." Rami blinked. "Strike first? Against alien warships?" "Not with weapons," Mila said. "With information." Over the next few days, Mila used Earth's oldest satellite systems, ones forgotten by modern countries. These were machines from the early days of space travel, now reactivated using the power that Alari had awakened. With Alari's help, Mila coded a signal, a harmless pulse that would bounce between satellites and send back data on anything cloaked in space. "These satellites weren't built for war," Mila explained. "But they're old enough to see things new tech can't detect. The Velnari use cloaking that fools modern sensors, but not these." On the 7th night, the pulse was sent. The results were instant. 4 ships, not 3. One had been hiding behind the others. Large, heavily armed. Rami stared at the monitor. "That's their main ship, isn't it?" Alari nodded. "Yes, that is the mind carrier. It holds their leader. And now we know where it is." Mila said, "We just need to tell the world." But getting the message out wasn't easy. The global networks were tightly controlled. Any strange broadcast would be shut down in seconds. They needed a direct line, a signal the whole world could see before anyone could stop it. "We'll use the deep space beacon," Rami said suddenly. "It's buried under the observatory. Old tech, but still connected to the world signal. Net." Mila raised an eyebrow. "That thing's ancient." "But not monitored," he replied. "And it's strong enough to reach every screen on Earth for at least 5 minutes." "That's all we need," Mila said. With Alari's guidance, Rami and Mila worked through the night. They cleaned the dust from the beacon console, replaced burned wires, and reconnected the ancient cables. Just before sunrise, everything was ready. Rami looked at Alari. "Are you sure you want to do this?" Alari nodded. "The truth must be shared, even if it brings danger." He pressed the button. A sharp hum filled the room as the beacon lit up. The signal launched into space, bouncing across Earth's satellites, down to every screen, device, and broadcast network. For 5 full minutes, the world watched in silence. Alari appeared on screens everywhere, calm, graceful, and real. "People of Earth," she said, "I am Alari. I am not of your world, but I bring you a warning. 4 ships, hidden in your sky, are not here in peace. They are the Velnari, hunters of thought, destroyers of worlds. They watch you now. They plan to erase what they fear, your spirit, your courage, your dreams. But you are not helpless. You are strong, strong in heart, in mind, in hope. Use what you have, unite, push back." Then the signal ended. The world went quiet. Within hours, the news exploded. The video spread to every corner of Earth. People were confused, afraid, but also curious. Was it real? Could it be true? Military leaders from different countries began secret meetings. Space agencies confirmed the satellite pulse. Even scientists, who had doubted, began to speak up. Earth was waking up. 3 days later, the Velnari responded. Above Earth, a low hum echoed through the atmosphere. Thousands of people across the world heard it, like a distant thunder that never ended. Then came a message, deep and cold, broadcast into space and captured by every listening device. You have broken silence. Your voice disturbs the void. You will be silenced. Alari's face grew serious. It has begun. Earth didn't wait this time. Using information from Alari and Mila's scans, governments launched orbital countermeasures, not weapons, but EMP charges designed to reveal cloaked objects in orbit. The sky flickered for a moment, like static, on an old TV, and then the ships were visible. Millions saw them, massive black forms hanging above the Earth like shadows cast by unseen suns. Panic spread fast, but so did resolve. People marched. Scientists joined hands. Space stations came alive again. Nations shared their hidden tech. Humanity, for the first time in its history, began to act as one. Back in the observatory, Rami stood with Mila and Alari, watching the sky. "You were right," he said. "We don't need to fight with guns. We just needed to know the truth. And believe it." Alari smiled gently. "You carry more strength in your heart than you ever knew." "But this isn't the end, is it?" Mila asked. "No," Alari said, softly. "This is only the beginning." And high above them, the Velnari ships began to shift position, preparing for something. A battle of silence was about to become a battle of strength. Now, 4 dark ships floated clearly above Earth, giant and cold like watchers from another age. The Velnari had been revealed, and the people of Earth could see their enemy for the first time. All across the world, people stood outside at night looking up at the sky. Some were afraid, some were angry, but many were ready. At the old observatory, Rami, Mila, and Alari had barely slept. Their small base had become a secret command center. Mila's laptop was connected to global networks. Rami monitored the satellite feeds. Alari sat quietly in the corner, eyes closed, listening to signals beyond human hearing. Then, one morning, everything changed. A sharp alarm from the satellite console rang out. "Something's moving," Mila said quickly. Her eyes scanned the screen. "Ship 3 is descending." Rami leaned over. "Descending? You mean toward Earth?" "Yes. It's breaking orbit, heading straight toward a satellite station near the equator." Alari opened her eyes. Her face was calm, but her voice was serious. "They're testing your defense, not with full power, just a warning." Rami's heart raced. "What do we do?" Mila began typing fast. "I'm connecting to the station's mainframe. If we can redirect the signal, maybe we can confuse." The Velnari sensor. A map appeared on her screen, a red dot moving fast across the globe. Behind it, a line of code blinked in warning. "They're jamming the satellite's systems," Mila said. "It's going to crash if we don't stop them." Alari stood. "I can help, but I need a human connection. I cannot control your machines directly." "I'll do it," Rami said, already reaching for the cable. "Tell me what to send." For the next hour, Rami and Alari worked side by side. She placed one glowing hand on the metal table, eyes closed, while Rami entered the data she described. Mila directed the signal through a backup frequency, one the Velnari hadn't found yet. At the last second, the satellite changed course. The Velnari ship passed by, missing its target. Cheers broke out across the global command lines. For the first time, Earth had stopped an alien move, but the victory was short. Minutes later, a second Velnari ship fired. The blast hit a small orbital lab in low Earth orbit. The lab was unarmed, peaceful. The explosion sent debris raining down into the atmosphere. One piece hit a space station. Another damaged a global weather satellite. No lives were lost, but the message was clear. You are not safe. Rami clenched his fists. They don't care who they hurt. They just want to scare us. They want to break your spirit, Alari said quietly. Mila stood up from her chair. Then we have to fight back harder. The next plan was risky. Earth's space agencies had one working defense system that had never been used, Sky Shield, a set of small satellites that could create a pulse strong enough to block enemy signals for 30 seconds. 30 seconds is not much, Rami said, but it's enough to launch a counter-signal, Mila replied. If we send the right frequency, we can overload one of their ship's systems. Alari walked over. They will feel the emotional weight of your world if we do it correctly. I can use that signal to send them what they fear most. Human. Memory. Rami frowned. Memory? Yes, Alari said. Your pain, your hope, your courage, your love. The Velnari cannot understand it. It weakens their control. But we need something powerful, Mila added. Something real. Rami looked at Alari. Can you use mine? Alari nodded. If you are willing. Rami took a deep breath. Then let's do it. That night, they began. Alari connected to the signal hub, placing her hands on the console. Rami sat beside her, eyes closed, sharing memories aloud. His childhood, his family, his fears, his dreams. Alari took it all in, gently weaving his emotions into a wave of energy, soft but deep. She smiled, a sad kind of smile. You carry a beautiful pain, Rami. It will reach them. At the same time, Mila activated Sky Shield. The satellites responded quickly, aligning across the planet. At the right moment, Alari's signal was sent. It hit Ship 2. The Velnari ship pulsed, just once, and then stopped moving. Inside, the alien minds were overwhelmed. They didn't understand what they felt. A wave of human emotion had crashed into their systems. Laughter, sorrow, hope, sacrifice. The ship drifted. But the other ships reacted fast. Ship 4 fired back, not at space, but at Earth. A blast struck a low-orbit station. One of the engineers on that station was Mila's brother. She received the news through a silent message. Injured. Critical. Mila's face turned pale. She sat down, hands shaking. I told him this wasn't real. I told him Earth was safe. Now. Rami placed a hand on her shoulder. He's alive. You helped save him by warning the world. Alari walked over and knelt beside her. The Velnari feed on fear. Do not give them yours. Mila nodded slowly. Then let's finish what we started. The people of Earth had seen enough. Leaders from around the globe, once divided, sent out a shared message. Earth will not fall. We will not bow. We stand together. Using Alari's emotional pulse method, more satellites were repurposed, not to attack, but to send out memories. Millions of people uploaded messages, photos, recordings, songs, stories. The signals were broadcast through every open frequency. Hope, unity, and resistance flowed into the sky. High above, the Velnari ships trembled. They had never faced a world like this. A world that didn't fight with lasers or violence, but with emotion, connection, and unity. And in their confusion, they paused. It was Earth's first real opening. In the observatory, Rami looked at the screens. We're pushing them back. Alari closed her eyes, feeling the energy. Yes, but they will strike again. Harder. Mila stood, her voice strong again. Then we'll be ready. And above them, for the first time in days, one of the Velnari ships began to move away. Wasn't a retreat yet, but it was a sign. Humanity had struck the first real blow. For days, the 4 Velnari ships had hovered, watching, waiting. Every action humans took was measured, analyzed, and countered. But something had changed. The humans were no longer afraid. They were united, They were daring to hope. In the old observatory, Rami, Mila, and Alari had barely slept. They worked tirelessly, monitoring satellites, analyzing Velnari movements, and coordinating with the world's secret defense networks. But Alari was growing weaker. Each pulse of emotion she sent into space drained her energy, a toll invisible to human eyes. "Alari," Rami said softly, watching her lean against the wall. "You look tired. You need rest." She shook her head gently. Her teal-blue skin had dimmed slightly, and her hair seemed less luminous. "Rest will not save Earth, Rami," she replied. "The Velnari will strike soon, and when they do, it will take everything I have to protect this world." Mila frowned. "There has to be another way. We can use more satellites, more signals. We don't need to sacrifice you." Alari looked at both of them, her deep eyes steady. "There is no other way. If Earth is to survive, I must give them the full strength of human emotion. Only then can the shield hold." Rami felt his chest tighten. "You mean you'll disappear?" She nodded slowly. "I will fade, but Earth will remain. You have already begun something wonderful here. My life is small compared to the future of your people." That night, they prepared the final plan. Mila connected every working satellite to the Sky Shield network. They rerouted signals to cover the entire planet. Every frequency, every transmission, every screen became part of a global wave. Rami held Alari's hands. "Are you sure you can do this?" "Yes," she whispered. "But I will need your memories, your hope, your courage, your heart." Rami hesitated, then nodded. He began to speak. He shared everything, his fears, his regrets, his happiest memories, the faces of his family, the songs he loved, and the stories of ordinary people who had never given up. Alari closed her eyes and absorbed it all. Her form glowed brighter for a moment, more radiant than ever before. Then she lifted her hands and sent the pulse into the satellites. Across the world, humans felt it. A warmth, a connection, a rush of emotion unlike anything before. Images of loved ones, laughter, acts of bravery, and kindness filled every device. Stories from all over the globe flowed together like a river of energy, and far above, in space, the Velnari ships trembled. They were not used to feeling. They were not used to emotion. The wave crashed into them, and for the first time, confusion and fear flickered across their systems. "What is happening?" one of the Velnari commanders hissed. "Our controls are failing? Why do we feel this?" Alari's voice echoed softly through the pulse. She was still in the observatory, still holding Rami's memories, still sending them outward. "This is what it means to be human. Hope, courage, love. These are not weaknesses. They are your undoing." The ships staggered in orbit, their weapons failing. For a moment, it seemed as though Earth itself had risen to push them back, but the effort was too much. Alari's glow began to fade. Her form shimmered and blurred. She looked at Rami and Mila, smiling faintly despite her weakening. "Do not cry for me," she whispered. "Your world is alive because you believed." Rami grabbed her hands. "Alari, please, you can't leave now." "My time is done," she said, "but I will always be with you, in your memories, in your courage, in your stories. Remember what I told you, Earthman. Your greatest power is your heart." Her body began to fade like mist in the wind. The teal-blue glow dimmed, leaving only a trace of light, then nothing. Rami fell to his knees, staring at the empty space where she had stood. Mila knelt beside him, silent tears running down her cheeks. Outside, the Velnari ships were immobilized. The wave of human emotion had acted as a shield, stronger than any weapon. Earth's unity, hope, and courage had created a protective barrier. No alien weapon could pierce. The Velnari could no longer attack directly. Their leader, in the mind carrier, hissed in frustration and retreated. Slowly, the ships pulled back into the darkness of space, disappearing from Earth's orbit. Earth was safe. In the following days, the world slowly returned to normal, but nothing would ever feel the same. Rami and Mila worked to create the archive of emotion, a global record of human memories, stories, and feelings. They wanted future generations to know the power they held, the strength of hope, courage, and connection. People began to share their own stories inspired by the events. Artists painted, writers wrote, and communities gathered together, stronger than before. Though Alari was gone, her presence was felt in every act of kindness, bravery, and love. Rami would often climb to the observatory roof at night, looking up at the stars. He could almost feel her watching, proud of what humanity had done. "We did it, Alari," he whispered softly. "We didn't just survive, we proved ourselves." Mila joined him, placing a hand on his shoulder. "And we'll keep proving it. Every day." That's what she wanted. The forests continued to grow, spreading across deserts, cities, and mountains. Birds sang, rivers flowed, and life returned to places long abandoned. Earth was alive again, stronger than before because its people had learned a lesson far older than technology or weapons. Hope and courage are stronger than fear. And somewhere far beyond the stars, other civilizations watched. They had seen what humanity was capable of. A quiet truth echoed through the void. This species, small and fragile as it seemed, would not be easily destroyed. Rami took a deep breath, closing his eyes. In the darkness of space and silence, he whispered one final message. "Thank you, Alari. You gave us more than a gift. You gave us ourselves." And for the first time, the stars seemed to shine a little brighter, as if acknowledging the courage of a single world that had stood together and refused to fall. Earth was quiet again, but it was no longer the same world. The forests stretched endlessly, rivers flowed through deserts, and cities thrummed with new life. Humanity had learned the power of unity, of hope, and of courage. They had survived, a threat beyond imagination, and had grown stronger because of it. At the old observatory, Rami and Mila worked tirelessly on the archive of emotion. The archive was more than a record. It was a living network of memories, stories, and feelings from people across the globe. Children, elders, artists, and scientists all contributed. The goal was simple: to remind every generation that the greatest strength was not weapons or technology, but heart. Rami stood at the large window, looking at the lush hills that surrounded the observatory. The stars sparkled above, and he felt a faint presence, as if Alari were watching. "She would be proud," Mila said softly, joining him. Rami smiled faintly. "I think she already knows. I can feel it. Somewhere, she's still with us." One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, an unusual signal appeared on the satellite network. Rami and Mila rushed to the console. "It's not from Earth," Rami said, his voice tense. Mila's fingers flew over the keyboard. "It's faint, but it's there. Someone or something is responding." The signal grew stronger. Soon, a message appeared on every monitor. "Earth has survived. Your courage is noted. You are no longer alone in the universe. Alari's..." Words echoed in Rami's mind. "Your greatest power is your heart." The message continued. "We are explorers and watchers. We have seen your world and the strength of your people. The Velnari will not return soon. But when they do, know this: you are ready." For the first time in months, Rami and Mila allowed themselves to breathe. Humanity had not only survived, it had been recognized by the stars. In the following days, governments worked together more openly than ever before. Space programs expanded not for war but for exploration and communication. Humanity built ships that could travel farther, satellites that could scan the universe, and communication arrays that could reach distant worlds. The forested hills and restored rivers became symbols of Earth's resilience. Cities integrated green spaces, and people everywhere worked to rebuild a balance between technology and nature. Rami often walked through the forests, feeling the air heavy with life and possibility. Children ran along the rivers, birds nested in trees that had not existed a year ago, and communities thrived. It was a reminder of what one wish, shared courage, and hope could accomplish. One night, Rami and Mila returned to the observatory roof. "Do you think we'll ever see her again?" Rami asked softly, staring at the stars. Mila shook her head with a smile. "Not like before, but in a way, she's everywhere. In every act of kindness, every brave choice, every story shared. She lives in the heart of humanity now." They looked up together. The sky was calm, but far above, unseen by the human eye, other civilizations watched quietly. Some were curious, some cautious, and some had already taken note. Earth had become a world worth watching. "We proved ourselves," Rami said, his voice filled with quiet pride. "And we'll keep proving it," Mila replied. "Every day." In the years that followed, humanity continued to grow stronger. The restored forests spread across deserts and mountains. The oceans became cleaner and the air clearer. Nations learned to cooperate, inspired by the lesson of courage and hope that had saved the world. The archive of emotion became a global network, connecting people not just by data, but by empathy. Stories of bravery, kindness, and sacrifice traveled faster than any message ever had before. People remembered Alari not just as an alien visitor, but as a symbol of what humanity could achieve when it chose unity over fear. Rami often found himself standing under the tallest trees, closing his eyes and remembering her words. "Your greatest power is your heart," and he understood it fully now. Humanity had faced beings far stronger and wiser than themselves, but it was the heart, courage, and hope of ordinary people that had changed everything. In space, the Velnari ships had retreated to the farthest edges of the galaxy. Their leader had been shaken by the flood of human emotion, unable to comprehend it. They did not attack again, for now. But even from afar, they knew Earth had become a planet not to underestimate. Other civilizations, watching silently, began to see Earth differently. A new respect formed, not born of fear but recognition. Humanity had shown that a species could stand together, resist a superior force, and even shape the outcome of war with hope alone. Years later, children grew up learning the story of the teal-blue alien who had come to Earth, and the courage of a technician, a scientist, and every person who had chosen to stand together. They learned that the greatest power was not technology or weapons, but the human heart. Rami, now older, would often sit at the observatory, looking at the stars. Mila, beside him, would smile quietly. Sometimes, when the wind rustled through the restored forests, they would feel the faint warmth of Alari's presence. One evening, as the sun set and the stars began to twinkle, Rami whispered softly, "Thank you, Alari, for everything. We will not forget." Mila nodded. "And we will carry it forward. Humanity is ready for the stars now. We've learned the lesson she wanted us to learn. Unity, hope, courage, and heart matter more than anything." Above them, in the silent heavens, the stars seemed to shine brighter, as if acknowledging a single world that had faced the impossible and emerged victorious. Earth had survived, humanity had triumphed, and somewhere beyond sight the universe had taken notice. The story of courage, sacrifice, and hope had only just begun.